It's the Miss Seeley Show, and today we have
Henrietta Tillman.
And today Henrietta's going to give us an example of how she survived a traumatic situation, like each and every one of us can if we put our minds to it. Or we can avoid them, and she's going to also help us to try to figure out how to avoid these situations. Now, Henrietta, explain to me what went on with you.
In 2017, I got shot in the face by my ex-boyfriend. Well, at the time we were broke up, but we were still conversating.
Y'all were still conversating?
Yeah.
So you got shot by your lover, I'm going to say, because there was somebody who you cared about, and he cared about you as well. Okay, how long had you been dealing with him?
I want to say since I was like 14.
And how old were you at the incident?
I was 18.
So you grew up with him?
Yes.
14 to 18, basically?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now let's go back to that day. No, as a matter of fact, let's start with the day before that led up to this incident. What do you remember from the day before? Did you see anything that made you think this was going to happen the day before?
I don't really remember because of my brain damage or whatever, but I just kind of remember some of that day, some of that night.
Okay. Okay, well, just start from wherever you can remember.
Okay, so it was my cousin's graduation party, and we kind of got into an argument because I have a son. But, I mean, he knew it wasn't his son, but he still decided to take care of my child as his own. And he wanted me to meet him at the back gate of Parview. Well, not the back gate, but the gate that leads to Parview and Trishelle.
Okay.
I mean, that leads to Parview and Robinson Place. And I didn't want to meet him because it was nighttime, for one, and I was by myself to be, a female walking through that trail. And he got mad because I didn't want to meet him. And he came to my cousin's house. He knocked on the window or whatever. Well, I think the window was up. I don't know if it was up or down. But I remember him knocking on the window, and I remember my cousin Portia asking me to come to the window because he wanted me. He wanted to talk to me. And so I went to the window. We started arguing, and I remember we were walking out of the gate of Parview and going to my house. And at the time, my neighbors, her name was Miss Denise. She saw us arguing and she asked, like, was everything okay? And he kind of got offensive with her and was like, she good, don't worry about her, she's straight. And so her daughter was like, Mama, don't say nothing to him, just don't say nothing, period, because she didn't want to get into it. Because that's her mama, and he kind of had an attitude or whatever. And so we went upstairs, and I remember we got into it. I forgot what we were arguing about. But my mom ended up coming over. One of my best friends at the time, her name was Jessica, she ended up coming over. And my cousin Lil A came over. And they were trying to calm us down, or rather calm him down, because he was kind of upset or whatever. And what happened? And I remember they left. Jessica left me with her phone because he had took my phone earlier that day. And so they ended up making him leave before they left. And so after he left, that's when they felt comfortable to leave. My mom, she was cooking, so she left, and I don't know why everybody else left, but they left. And so I had my best friend's phone, and at the time I had a girlfriend. So I was kind of talking to my girlfriend or whatever, telling her, well, he still got my phone and da-da-da-da-da. He came back over to my house. At the time, like I said, I had a child. So my son was like 6 months at the time. And he knocked on my door. He told me he wanted to give my phone back. Because at first I told him he could just go on, go away, because I don't want to talk right now. And I had already called the police, I think probably before that, because it was kind of a thing that I would call the police when me and him would get into it. And I felt like, it might escalate to an argument or a fight or something. And so they ended up leaving. And, he came to the door. He was like, I just want to give your phone back. I just want to talk. So I Opened the door. I'm like, get my phone. He said, I want to talk. So I'm like, all right. We walked to the back of my house. And I had my baby on my hip. And I remember when we got to my room and I turned around, he already had the gun pulled on me. And so I'm like, what you doing? I said his name, and I'm like, what you doing? I don't want to say his name because I don't want to start nothing.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
And so I'm like, what you doing? Put the gun down. He like, I don't really remember what all he said, but I remember him telling me to put my baby down. He was like, put him down. Put him down. And I'm like, no, you tripping. He was like, put him the fuck down. I put him down because I thought about it. I'm like, you right, you got a gun, and I don't want nothing to happen to my child. So I put my baby down, and when I put him down, I remember just begging him, like, please don't shoot me, please don't shoot me. He was like, shut the fuck up. You think I could live with myself knowing that I pulled the gun on you? And, like, them is the last words I remember him saying. Them, like, literally the last words I remember him saying to me before I got shot. And so I remember when I got shot, I remember feeling like a daze or something. I don't know. It was like a daze, and I just kind of passed out. And when I woke up, I remember I had my baby in my arms.
Still, when you woke up?
Like, I don't know if he put him on the floor or like down there with me or what, but my baby was in my arms. And so when I ended up at the door, y'all, this is so crazy. I ended up at the front door of my house. And they said I had like a trail of blood leading all the way down my hallway, like I had done crawled all the way to the door or whatever. And I kind of remember waking up and hearing the police at the door, and they like, if anybody's at the door, move back, we're gonna bust it down. And so I'm like, I'm here. I don't know if that's what they heard, but I just remember feeling like I said, I'm here. And I remember like kind of fighting to unlock the door. And as I unlocked the door, they rushed in. And as the police rushed in, I fell into one of the officer's arms. And he was like, stay with me, don't go to sleep, stay up. And I couldn't stay up. And I went down. And I remember waking up again, they was carrying me down the stairs, and I went to sleep again. And I woke up again, and they was putting me in the ambulance, and I kind of saw like a lot of people just all around. And after that, I just went down. And I ended up, next time I woke up, I was waking up in the hospital in Shreveport.
How many times were you shot?
Just once.
Just once. And where was you shot?
Right here.
In your face? Mm-hmm. What kind of gun was it? Do you know?
I don't know.
Did the bullet go straight through? Did it explode?
It broke into pieces.
It broke into pieces, into fragments. How do you feel like you being shot affected you? Like, how do you feel like your life is now since you've been shot?
I have like really bad memory loss. I had a stroke on my whole right side. So like I'm still trying to learn how to use this side. And I just feel like I'm kind of just trying to get myself back because I was so young. I really didn't know who I was yet, or didn't have the chance to figure out who I wanted to be fully yet.
And how old are you right now, today?
I'm 26.
You're 26 years old?
Yes.
And when did this happen?
In 2017.
And how old were you at that time?
I was 18.
So about 8 years ago this occurred. Do you feel like you're the same lady that you were before you got shot, like personality-wise?
I think, no, probably not, because I feel like I used to be like more outgoing, but like now, since then, I have not been out. Like as in, like going out with my family, I don't go out with my family. Like I haven't really had like a real time with my family since then. And you know, that hurt because I feel like a lot was took from me. And I know he had a lot took from him also, because I don't want to knock his family, because I loved him just like they loved him. But at the same time, I feel like it stopped me from being somewhere that I could have been, or, you know, just really accessing my full potential. Like, because I wanted to do hair so bad. I always wanted to do hair. But when that happened to me, it's like it stopped everything. it's like it took everything. Like, I wanted to go places and I wanted to see stuff, and now it's like I can't even do something simple as finish school because my mind is so bad. And it's like I've been trying to finish school probably like, oh Lord, for like 5 years, just a basic GED. But with the math and all that stuff, it's like the numbers get jumbled up in my head. And I don't know. I don't know where I would have been, or what, by now, if I would have never got shot, or where we could have been, or, where my life would have took me. But I do feel like it stopped me from really knowing who I am, honestly. And it's like, I'm always like, okay, how should I do this? Or I wanted to do like a book about my life or something. How would I do that? Like, how would I put that into words? Or how can I really open up about anything if I feel like, the next person that's on his side gonna have something negative to say about it? Because like I said before, all that, they knew we was all close. We was close. We was like family, and they knew we was like family. But everybody knew what he had going on also, and they knew what he did to me. So when it happened, his family was just like, why she couldn't have been the one that, started this with him, or why she couldn't have been the one to hurt him. If you know me, I'm not the person to sit up there and go try to hurt nobody, or like, I'm not even the type of person to go fight. I'm not a person that just get violent with somebody for no reason. Like, he didn't push me, pushed my mama, and and I still didn't hate him for that. I didn't fault him for that. We argued about it, but it was never like, oh, I can't stand you.
Where is he now?
He committed suicide the same night.
The same after he shot you?
Yes, ma'am.
At the same, was y'all at the same
At my house, in my apartment. And it was in my baby room.
And where are you from?
Monroe, Louisiana.
Okay, what type of relationship do you feel like y'all had? Like, did y'all fight? Did y'all fuss? Were y'all happy and playful? Because y'all were very young. What type of relationship was it leading up to?
I love it. I love it.
It
was good at first. And then other stuff started happening.
Did he always pull guns on you?
He never pulled a gun on me.
So this was just something that it was just shocking to you whenever. How did you feel? I know you say you was begging him. Did you think he was going to shoot you?
I really didn't know, because I know that he had went to the military and that they was taught that if you're going to pull it, use it.
Do you feel like y'all fought more than got along, or?
Not at the beginning, but at the end.
So how was his relationship with your son up until that time?
He loved him. He was a great daddy to my son. Like my son daddy didn't want to be he didn't want to be, I don't even know how to word it. He just didn't, he wanted me to get an abortion at first, or whatever. But he knew that if he gave me the money, I wasn't going to go get an abortion with it. And so he didn't have an issue with it. I mean, he wanted it to be his, but ultimately he took care of my baby like his.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's very good.
Like, I know for a fact, if he could have, he would have been on the birth certificate.
How did you grieve after this, knowing that he hurt you and hurt himself? Like, how was your grieving process?
Um, I used to sit in my house and cry, kind of ask him why would you do this? Or, what did you do? Really, that was my question. What did you do? What have you done? What have you done, like, for real? Because just thinking about, like, you really not here no more. Like, regardless of what me and him had going on, my son was everything to him, and I know that. So I just wish that my baby would have been enough for him to say, you know what, let me cool down and let me go back when I'm calm enough to talk to her. Because to this day, like I said, that was my baby daddy. That was his dad. And my kid's father, he was there for him like a dad, but that was that would have been his daddy for real.
But this man have put you through so much. You still have such a positive outlook, and you still loving and caring for him as well.
I never really, I grieved, but my grieving was kind of like just to myself, by myself. And just no matter what, I always try to look on the bright side of everything. So, like, even in the midst of me being, shot, coming out the hospital, learning how to, because I had to learn how to do everything over. Like, I had a trachea in my throat. I could not eat. I had a feeding tube in my stomach. I could not talk. I could not walk. I could not use none of these at all. And that really just, I don't think I ever really just kind of sat in that situation of what happened, like, for real. I kind of just pick up and, try to keep going than to sit and, really think about the traumatic stuff that happens in life, like, for real.
How long was you in the hospital?
About 2 months.
About 2 months. And you couldn't walk either, right?
No, ma'am.
About how long did it take you to start back walking? Was it before you got out the hospital?
As soon as I got out the hospital, I went straight to rehab at Willis Knighton. And it had to, like, I probably had the trach and stuff in. I don't even know, honestly, because I was in a coma.
You went home with the trach? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, you had it for
Yeah, I went home with the trach and the feeding tube. But, I honestly don't know how long. I just know from the time I woke up, we was still in there. And I remember once I came, because when I woke up, I was in ICU still. And I stayed in ICU for probably like 2 or 3 weeks maybe. And then they transferred me to a hospital bed, a hospital room. And once I got a room, my mom was in there with me every day. My mama stayed at the hospital, literally. Like, from the moment it happened, my mama stayed at that hospital. And she slept in that waiting room. And even she didn't even have, like, money actually to get food to eat every day. So, like, sometimes the hospital staff would come get her, like, food vouchers, like, for breakfast or for lunch. And, that's kind of how she made it. And, like, I don't even think my mom got a chance to bath, like, because she was there. And visiting hours, from my understanding, what they told me was like 30 minutes. Like, only 30 minutes. So she couldn't even just, come sit in the room with me to be with me. She had to come see me, like, every like 3 or 4 hours or something like that. one of my cousins, she opened her house up for him to stay because he got put out. He didn't have nowhere to go. Like, he literally did not have anywhere to go. And it's just like, just thinking about that is like, why would you think that I would do something like that to him or anything like that, period, to anybody? Because if I literally asked somebody that was in my family, hey, can you please let him have somewhere to stay? I think it was cold outside and everything. Can you please give him somewhere to stay so he don't have to sleep outside or nothing? Because he was 17 at the time. Shouldn't no 17-year-old be sleeping outside? And I knew that my mama, she was like, ain't no boys coming to stay in here. So I was like, you know what? We're going to have to find another way. We're going to have to work around it. And one of my cousins, she was like, yeah, he can come stay here. Because, you know, she knew our situation. She knew we had been talking for a little minute. Everybody seen us together always. Like, we was together every single day. And then, well, he started cheating. And then that got out of hand.
So you say you wish you could have saved him. Do you like beat yourself up about that? Do you think about that a lot?
I think about it a lot, but I don't beat myself up over it because I know that if I could have saved him, I really would have. But the main thing I probably beat myself up about is the fact that his family don't believe that I told them everything I knew. And it wasn't even just the family. It was more so his mom came after I got out the hospital, and she asked me what happened, and I told her what I remembered. And somehow the communication got to the family that I said I didn't know what happened. Which, how did I not know what happened if I told you what I remembered happened? Like, but everybody's saying, you said you didn't know what happened. No, y'all never asked me. Nobody ever came and asked me besides his auntie, his sister, and his mama. Nobody else in his family asked me what happened, and they all just wrote it off as, oh, the bitch drove him crazy. Because that's what they said. I drove him crazy.
You drove him crazy.
I drove him crazy. That's what they said.
Well, what was you doing? What do you feel like they meant when they say that you drove him crazy? What could you have possibly done to drive him crazy?
His sister said that he went to the Army, and while he was gone, I got pregnant, which was not true at all. It was not true at all. When he went AWOL, he stayed at my cousin's house. And while he was staying at my cousin's house, her niece ends up coming down here from Chicago. And when her niece ended up coming down here from Chicago, she was staying there too. And she would make her leave, she would make him leave every time the grown-up left. She would make him leave. And so he told me one day he actually went back after she left, after she made him leave. And that's when they ended up, having sex, him and my cousin. And I was so mad about it. I was furious. And I remember they actually got into like a full-blown relationship. And that was the most hurtful thing I feel like I probably had ever been through, was for my cousin to go with somebody I call like my boyfriend, my baby daddy. And so we started back talking after all of it or whatever. And he went back to where he was based, which was in New York. And so while he was down there or whatever, because I think they had him doing time, because like I said, he had went AWOL. So when they finally got him, they made him go back down there or whatever. And I remember we started back talking heavy, and it came time for him to actually come back. And I remember that day that he was getting ready to, leave, I guess, from down there, and he was just acting kind of weird because he was like, "I'm gonna call you back when I get where I'm finna go. I love you," and I'm like, "I love you too." And so I remember texting him. Oh, I need to go back. Okay, so I remember before that. So after I found out he was messing with my cousin, I stopped talking to him, and I started talking to somebody else. And so the dude I started talking to, I ended up getting pregnant by him. That's my first son's dad. And so I told both of them I was pregnant. I did let both of them know. And I remember he was like, I don't care if he's mine or not. I'm still be here. I'm still be here to take care of him or her or whatever it was gonna be. And like when he went back to, when he went back to New York, and I was pregnant, and I was waiting on him to come back. Now we at that day when he was getting ready to come back. And so after we got off the phone, after he said he loved me and I said I love him or whatever, I want to say probably about an hour or two went by, and I realized he had never called or never texted me back or never said nothing. And so I called him, and his phone was going to voicemail. I'm like, that's weird. And so I start calling him, and I didn't hear from him. I didn't hear from him for probably like maybe 4 or 5 months, maybe. And my cousin called me one day like, "Girl, you not finna believe this. Guess who in Bastrop?" I'm like, "Who?" She like, "Scoop. He with his auntie." I'm sorry, I did not mean to say his name. She was like, he with his auntie. Okay. She was like, he with his auntie and our cousin down there. And I'm like, what? So she came over and she showed me the picture on Facebook of him and my cousin, and they was going out for his birthday. And I was like, oh, I can't believe this, da 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 da. And what happened? I was like, it was just crazy to me because I was under the impression that she was in Chicago where she lived at, and I didn't know where he was at. Y'all, I thought this boy was literally dead. I thought he was dead. I was going to Delta at the time, and I remember literally breaking down at school crying. Like, couldn't even finish my schoolwork because I'm like, I don't know where he at. And then I asked his people, and his people even told me they didn't hear from him. So, if I'm hearing that your people didn't hear from you, now I'm really thinking like, oh my God, something could be wrong. But I'm young, so it's not clicking in my head like, wouldn't they put out a missing person report? It's not clicking in my head at that time. And so I'm like, that was just so crazy. And so after I saw that, it really wasn't nothing I can do. They was way down there and I was way down here. And so one day he ended up coming back. Well, they ended up coming back. And he saw me, and I was all big and pregnant. And I feel like when he seen me like that, I feel like he fell in love with me all over again. And we started back sneaking around, despite the fact that he was talking to her. And well, his sister said that the girl, my cousin, was upset because he said he was gonna take care of my child, even though it wasn't his. I don't know how true it is, but that's what his sister told me. She always was like, "Why are you trying to take care of her baby and it's not even your baby?" And they were still talking, and somehow they ended up breaking up or whatever. And then me and him actually started back talking. And so when we started back talking, he ended up having to leave and go with his papa to Texas. And so when he went with his papa to Texas, about 3 days later, I ended up going in labor with my baby. And so he was trying to get back down here, and he could not find a way to get back down here for nothing. And so I want to say when he finally did get back down here, it was probably like maybe a month or two later, And we was, kind of big talking heavy, but I don't know why we fell off again, why we stopped talking, what it was that made me say I don't want to do this anymore. But I feel like he started being controlling. And I remember kind of just like cleaning up my house one day, and he was there or whatever, and he had this notebook that he wrote in or whatever. And I remember seeing that he was writing, seemed like to somebody in his notebook, like in the notepad, but it was like he was talking to somebody. And I'm like, I didn't say nothing. I just kind of put it up in the dresser drawer. And so when he woke up, he was like, "Where my book at? Where my book at?" And I'm like, I said, "I put it in the dresser drawer." He had got so mad at me, like, "Don't touch it. Don't touch my book. Don't be touching my stuff, going through my stuff." Which now I feel like maybe I should have, and I could have, probably would have knew something.
So you feel like the book was a diary of some type?
I do.
Did you ever see the book? You ever find out what it was? Anybody ever mention it?
No, it was one of those little small mini speckle notebooks. I remember it was red. But I don't think nobody ever mentioned it.
So it was no signs. You had no way of knowing that he was this.
I knew he had been suicidal.
Oh, okay. So
He
now it's making
was
a little more.
suicidal too. Also, I'm sorry, I meant to say that he was suicidal. He had he was under watch because he tried to do something to himself while he was up there, and I don't know, probably just because I was so young that I really didn't pay attention to the signs because they were there. I just didn't pay attention to them. And then, my dad is there, but at the same time, it's like he's not. Like I can't really talk to him. Like to this day, like it's kind of just like me and my kids and my little small family, like my sister and my mom and probably my best friend. And that's like about it.
Is there anything, if you could say anything to any young woman or young man out there that's suicidal, what would you say to them?
Don't do it. It's not worth it because there's way more people out here that love you than you think. It's not a good place. It's not a place where you want to be, or it's not something that you want to do, especially if you have kids out here, because you never know who you are actually an anchor for and who you are actually holding here. And, that could lead to like a lot of different things.
How do you feel about having this conversation? How do you feel about speaking out about this? How does it make you feel?
Just nervous.
Nervous? Mm-hmm. Okay, once again, we have the Miss Seeley Show, and we had
Henrietta Tillman.
Henrietta Tillman on the show today.
And my Facebook name is Cookie Tillman. Cookie the Stepper.